are you?
Yeah, baby Shippensburg's finest. Happy to join you guys, man. Big game this weekend, so fire away.
All right, let's get the lowdown on what the Eagles are up against this week. First of all, the health of the quarterback. What can you tell us about Jordan Love with the banged-up elbow? They took him out last week. They didn't put him back in the game. What's the situation?
Okay, so, yes, officially, funny bone hit during the game, numbness in his throwing hand during the game, removed and exited right when things started getting a little screwy there against Chicago. To me, it was all precautionary. I watched Jordan Love the entire time. I watched him continue to throw. I talked to Matt LaFleur at halftime, said Jordan feels much better. We will see how the second half goes. Nothing about this seems serious to me as it pertains to Jordan Love playing in this football game and being able to play at 100%. However, the big play threat for the Green Bay Packers, Christian Watson, did go down with an ACL in this game. Unfortunately, was probably not even going to play in this game and was going to rest up for the playoffs, but had to suit up because Packers numbers were down at wide receiver because of some illnesses. They've had colds and flus going around this locker room here because it's cold and flu season, and unfortunately lost him in this football game. So they're going to be down some ammunition on the offensive side. It just isn't going to be at the quarterback position.
Okay, so let's look at the matchups then. The Green Bay defense against what the Eagles are going to be doing offensively. How well does Green Bay handle the run? Because they're going to get a large dose of it.
Well, I think Green Bay has done a better job this year with their run defense than they have in most of Matt LaFleur's tenure. And a big portion of that is Edgerrin Cooper, the rookie linebacker who is going to be a household name within a year or two if he's not already in your media guide. This guy is an absolute stud. Only played 10 plays in Brazil against the Eagles first time, and in fact, one of Saquon Barkley's touchdowns there in the first half was because of a lineup error out of the rookie. So he has gotten immensely better, just like the rookies in the Eagles secondary have got tremendously better. So I think that's going to be a big factor here in the run game for the Packers defense against Saquon is going to be Edgerrin Cooper. How does he slow down or mitigate what Saquon can do and what Saquon did do in the first game? The Eagles' offensive line is so big, so strong, so powerful, right? They're going to get theirs. They just can't let Saquon absolutely blow this game wide open.
All right, and to that end, the Green Bay is ranked 7th in the league in rushing defense, so that's a pretty good number. But there seems to be a disparity in their numbers, home and away. They're not nearly as good on the road as they are, obviously, in Lambeau. Now, I don't know why that would be. They're gonna come in here. It might be Lambeau-like conditions. So, what light can you shed on that?
Well, so generally what happens in these things is when you play on the road, right, the noise and the environment and everything, it plays a big part. And what I mean by that is the Packers' numbers being better at home, it's because offenses can't do the motions, the shifts, and all that dressing up the eye candy before the snap because they're running low on the play count. They have simpler calls when they're on the road. When the Packers go on the road themselves to play and offenses can operate at their normal tempo and get the play calls in and out of the huddle and to the line of scrimmage quicker, that's when they have to deal with all the eye candy and all the foolery, and that's where things can get a little bit tricky for them. That's where you can scheme them up for some big plays. I anticipate the Packers, having to play this game, and like you said at the beginning of this thing, now a whole lot of people are giving them a chance. I expect them to play kind of with a, this is our last stand mentality, putting extra people in the box, making run blitzes turn into pass blitzes if it turns out to be play action. So I think they're going to have to play this game incredibly aggressive in order to try and slow down this Philadelphia Eagle offense.
All right, now you know what you're up against offensively against this defense. They're ranked number 1, although Green Bay's ranked pretty high as well offensively, but they're fewest points allowed, fewest yards per play, pass attempts per play, fewest first downs. They've allowed opponents to only score on 31.6% of their drives. Those are pretty lofty numbers with Vic Fangio. So how do the Packers attack?
Well, honestly, this is one of those things where both teams, you're looking at top 5 offenses, top 5 defenses, and, the Eagles, man, they have just gotten better throughout the year. We got this film, and I went back and watched that game in Brazil. These two teams don't look anything like what they did then, right? The young secondary players for the Eagles have emerged and have really exploded that defense, right? It made that defense so much more formidable. And Jordan Davis and everybody on the inside there, they've kind of developed. And Zach Bond coming over and exploding the way that he has this year, I mean, you're talking about 3 different levels on the Eagles' defense that pose threats. How are the Packers going to get by? Whether it's going to have to be a heavy dose of Josh Jacobs. He was, the Packers' big free agent signing this last offseason. He's been an absolute blessing in Green Bay this year. It's going to have to be a heavy dose of him. And when Jordan Love takes his shots, he's going to have to connect. And that's easier said than done, considering your big play target, Christian Watson, being out in this game. We don't have another guy that we can just line up one-on-one and say, run past him, jump higher than him. So it's going to have to be a lot of scheming done by Matt LaFleur in the game plan this week.
Talking to John Kuhn, former Green Bay Packer fullback, legendary fullback. Do you lament the fact that the fullback has kind of been phased out of football?
I mean, yeah.
Is your heart broken?
No, there's people doing fullback things, right?
Yeah.
You have guys that are listed as the fullbacks, but then on every team you have a guy that plays really what the fullback was or what the fullback is. For the Packers, his name is Chris Brooks, and he's more of a halfback, right? He carries the football, and he's very capable of doing that. But he does the dirty stuff. If you got a counter, like a counter GT pull where he's got to lead up on the inside linebacker, he does that. Tucker Kraft, he goes and cuts the backside end. So, we just spread the job title out to several different guys here in Green Bay. There are some teams that still rock with a fullback now. I mean, San Francisco, Miami, Baltimore, they all have really good, Minnesota, they all have really good fullbacks, and they use them quite a bit. So I got a lot of pride in those guys like the C.J. Hams of the world, the Alec Ingolds of the world, the Patrick Cards of the world. And guess what? Those guys all wear C's on their chest. They're all captains of their football teams. So that's really cool to see as well.
The Eagles actually use a fullback from time to time anymore. But let me get it. Your story is a pretty amazing story on how you got to the NFL from Shippensburg. So you grew up in New York. Who were you a fan of?
Oh, you're going to love this. The Philly fans drove me absolutely bonkers. I was a Cowboys fan. Now, my dad grew up in the 70s. My dad grew up in the 70s. Who was great in the 70s?
Steelers.
Oh, you're the worst.
Well,
you are the worst.
And his very first team was the Steelers.
You're the worst kind of fan. Really. Hopping on a bandwagon.
No, his dad did.
Hey,
no, your dad. So you followed your dad.
My dad did. Absolutely. Don't you follow your dad?
No,
Yes.
I had my individual life.
John, don't let him bully you. You just take that Steelers fandom.
How far?
It's also, he was at least in Pennsylvania. It wasn't like he was a Steelers fan living in Ohio.
I get it, but come on.
You want me to be an Eagles fan? Look at how you pressured people to want to be an Eagles fan.
Let me explain what fandom is, John. Fandom is you root for the team closest to your home area because they represent your home area, right? Was Philadelphia closest to you?
Philadelphia, Baltimore. Baltimore didn't have a team when I was growing up as a kid. They didn't get one until it was 97 or 98 or something like that. Whatever. But yeah. Yes, it'd be great to root for that team that was closest to you. But again, I heard too many Eagles fans, just like yourself, coming out of the WordWorks, driving me absolutely bonkers. But honestly, this is what's great about football. The Eagles fans are incredibly passionate. The Packers fans are incredibly passionate. This is two of the better fan bases in all of professional sports that are going to come together here this weekend and have this matchup. And I don't imagine that there's going to be too many Packer fans in the link, even though Packer fans travel very well.
Whoa, you think they'd be afraid to come to the link?
Well, listen, the last time we were there, I can remember the last time we were there. My father-in-law had a physical altercation with a Philadelphia Eagle fan because he had something to say to my wife. So, yeah, I can imagine there being some nefarious things happening in those stands this weekend.
We'd hate to have that happen. John,
nice people.
Yeah, we are nice people here. Yeah, John, you did Sports Talk Radio in Green Bay for a long time, Milwaukee. Like, what's the difference, fan base wise, Sports Talk Radio from there to here?
I would just say Philadelphia takes it up over the top, and honestly, to be frank with you, I lived it. I grew up my entire life with it there in York, at college at Shippensburg. 3/4 of my teammates at Shippensburg were Eagles fans. So I understand the passion and the emotion that goes into it. I would say Green Bay has that passion. They just don't show it as quickly. It doesn't just they don't go 0 to 60, with the snap of a finger. But if you lose 2 or 3 or 4 games in a row, then they'll start getting a little cantankerous. Eagles fans, no, you don't have that leash. You don't have that leash.
Yeah. Hence, we're talking about the coach being fired if they lose the first round game.
Unbelievable. Isn't that the truth? And honestly, when you talk in Green Bay right now, there aren't necessarily fans talking about Matt LaFleur being fired, but they're talking about Matt LaFleur and some of his inefficiencies. And this is a guy who's been one of the most efficient coaches in the NFL. Through 100 games, there's only 2 coaches that have won more games in their first 100 games than Matt LaFleur. And up here, we're even talking about him and his inefficiencies. So it goes both ways. It's all the way around. This is what the NFL does, and fans absolutely eat it up.
All right, the moment of truth for John Kuhn. Who wins the game, and what's the score on Sunday?
I think the Eagles win this game, and I think they win this game by a 2-score margin.
Ooh!
I just
like
think,
it.
Honestly. Now, I don't hope it goes that way, and I'll be on the sideline, commentating for my team to do better than that. I just think Jair Alexander being down in the secondary for the Packers, obviously a disadvantage when you got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown running up and down the field there. Saquon Barkley, we're going to have to put extra people in the box to help take care of him. He had 3 touchdowns in the first game. Just way too much firepower offensively. And then defensively, with Nakobe Dean and Jalen Carter and everybody else up and down that whole defensive side, they've gotten so good this year. I just don't know how the Packers keep up, because it's about where you're at when you go into the playoffs. And the Packers right now, for the first time, are in a spot of adversity. Can they flip the switch? Can they change it? Maybe. We've seen crazier things happen in the NFL. I'm just not banking on it.
Well, I hope you're okay on the sidelines there, with the Green Bay fans.
Hey, listen, I'll be fine.
This is going to go viral in Green Bay,
Listen, I've had tremendous luck myself at the link, honestly, to tell you the truth. Winning a divisional game in 2010 on our way to a Super Bowl victory, scored a touchdown earlier in the season there at the link. So I got fond memories when I come back to I feel good. I'm comfortable in my skin. I just hope the Packers can pull up an upset this weekend.
Yeah, I think you're right. John, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, guys. No
John
problem.
Kuhn, Green Bay, former Green Bay player, now the sideline reporter. How about that? I didn't expect that. I thought he would say it was a close game.
Yeah, I thought well, maybe Philadelphia pulls out a close one or something.
I might bet that right now.
2 scores.
I may 2 scores. I may take that. 610-632-0975. Hembo coming up a little later in this hour. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Hey everybody, it's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos, it's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports fan. Looking forward to connecting.